Welcome back to the video series dedicated to a show on MTV where it has a lot of X's, very little beach, and absolutely no pirates. That's right, I'm talking about MTV's X on the Beach Season 2, Episode 10. We are in the double digits, and let's start where last episode left off, and that was Nicole walking down this long driveway with all of her bags, her neck pillow is on her neck, and she is just heading down, and Chad's like, hey, where you going? What did I do? Ugh. But then Nicole talked to a producer and said, well, you felt something for one guy, but you never know. Maybe an ex will come back. Maybe you'll spark up with somebody else. Why don't you stay? And Nicole was like, alright. And after a metaphorically and physically long way up the hill for Chad, everybody's back in the house and just hanging out. Nicole goes into her room, stays in there until Chad comes in with food because he knows the way to a woman's heart is through her stomach. And he's like, hey, do you want to talk? And then they get into a weird, metaphorical, long journey around categorizing people into either their yogurts and steaks, and something about walking around with yogurt in the house, and then you could reheat steaks later. It was weird. I think Chad also got confused in all of it, but they seem like they're on good terms until they're at the cut or crush ceremony when Romeo brings up Chad to Nicole, and Nicole just storms off again. She comes back, pleads the fifth, and that's when we get to an anticlimactic cut or crush ceremony when Shay is magically whisked away. And realistically, she wasn't doing a whole lot anyways. The whole thing revolved around Corey crushing Deandra because Shay, when it was between Farrah and Corey going home, she crushed Farrah, which didn't really matter because Farrah had more enemies. She left. It could have been the swing vote, the swing crush, to send Corey out of this house and out of our lives for a reasonably long time, maybe even forever. But it wasn't. He got to stay in, but he returned the favor by giving a crush to Deandra, and then that sent Shay floating away in a giant like swan back into the house, and 4 people are sent to the beach this time. 4 people! And that is Rob, Murray, Jay, and Nicole. Luckily for all the other guys, Nicole has her ex Nate show up. Apparently Nate and her were really strong for a while, and then he kept on leaving her for other people to get engaged to other people. Well, he likes what he sees now. They're talking, they're hanging out. Now she's showing around the yogurt. The steak is not having it, that is Chad. Everything boils down to a costume party where it seems to be no theme except for to dress up differently than how you are or like normally. Because Nerissa is like a judge, Angela is a schoolgirl, Nelson's a lobster. During this whole thing, you have Angela and Nelson getting a little bit closer together. You have Nerissa and Darian making out in the photo booth, and then you have Morgan and Monty going into the photo booth together, which then Jay's spidey sense is going off, and he like goes up to Angela, which isn't the most reliable person because I think she wants drama as much as the rest of us do, and she kind of egged him on saying, hey, how could she do that? That's so messed up. And I think this all stems from Jay not being able to trust Morgan in this house overall, and he just goes nuts, and he's running around. I didn't know how big this house was, how big this production camp was, because they were walking around everywhere. I was like, are they all the way down the mountain? So now he's like about to fight Monty, and that's where this episode left off. They're about to fight. Sorry Jay, but I'm gonna put my money on Monty if this boils down to fisticuffs. I don't know how you say that word, but if it's gonna boil down to fisticuffs, gonna boil down to a straight up fist fight, I'm gonna have my money on Monty, just because. That's where this episode left off. What do you think about this episode? What do you think about this season? It's coming up to an end very quickly, but what do you think about this season? What do you think about this episode? Do you think Jay should be upset about by Morgan being in the photo booth, or do you think he kind of overreacted? What do you think about Nerissa and Darian? And Darian's not looking good on this TV as Janelle's off at home just chilling out, doing whatever she's doing, possibly thinking about Darian, and then Darian's like, who? But what do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, who would you pick, Nate or Chad? Let me know in the comment section below. I want to hear what you have to say, and while you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see y'all next week for another episode of X on the Beach. Peace!